Okay, so today we're going to review solving ratios. This is a skill that you're going to need often in geometry, especially in the upcoming chapter. It's something you learned in the middle school standards, but may have not used recently, so we want to cover it and make sure that we are proficient at it. So look at number 1. It says 10 over 8 equals n over 10. All right, one method you can do, since n is on the numerator of the fraction, you can just multiply by 10 and then do the same to the other side. And you'll have 10 times 10 divided by 8. You can type that in a calculator. And so you end up with 12.5. You can also do what's called cross multiply and divide. It is the same essential work that's happening. It's just a method to isolate the variable. And so it kind of gives you a tool that will work if the variable is on top or if the variable is on bottom. So let me just show you how you get the same answer for that problem. So when you cross multiply and divide, you multiply one numerator times one denominator. So 10 times 10 is 100. And then the other numerator times the other denominator, n times 8 is 8n. And then you divide by 8. And I know in this case it feels like more work to get the same answer, but if your variable is on the denominator or the bottom of the fraction, it might be a useful strategy that will help you. Okay, go ahead and try to cross multiply and divide and solve for x on example 2. All right, so I would have 5 times x equals 7 times 3, and then I would divide by 5, and I get x equals 4.2. Okay, number 3 is different because if you notice on number 3, the variable is not just by itself in the denominator, it is adding 5. So it's not just by itself. So when we cross multiply, we are going to do 10 times all of b plus 5. So you're going to have to distribute to everything. So 10 times b plus 5 equals 7 times 5 is 35. So then you distribute. So you have 10b plus 50 equals 35. So now we're going to get b by itself. We're going to subtract 50. And we get 10b equals negative 15. And then we can divide by 10. And so b equals negative 1.5. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and have you try to solve example 4, which is the same type of example. Please remember to distribute the 9 all the way through, not just to the r, but to the r minus 3. Okay, so I have 9 times r minus 3 equals, and then 4 times 6 is 24. Now I'm going to distribute, so I'm going to have 9r minus 27. I'm going to add the 27 over. So I'm getting my variable by itself. So 24 plus 27 is 51. And then we'll divide by 9. And I get 5 2/3, and that's our answer. Okay, so now looking at number 5, that is the same type of problem, except if you notice there are r's or variables in 2 different places in the fraction. You still approach it the same way with cross multiplying. So I'm going to do 8 times r minus 9. Make sure you put in parentheses so you remember to distribute. Then I'm going to do 5 times r plus 5. All right, and so now I'm going to distribute the 8, 8r minus 72. I'll distribute the 5, 5r plus 25. From here, it's just solving like normal, trying to get your variable to one side. So I'm going to continue up here. So 3r minus 72 equals 25. I'll add the 72, so I have 3r equals 97. And now I'm going to do dividing by 3. And I get r equals 32 1/3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and have you try the same thing in number 6, where we're going to solve for p. All right, so my setup is 9 times p plus 10. equals 8 times P minus 7. Okay, so we distribute. Now we're going to get P all to one side. So P plus 90 equals negative 56. All right, and then we need to subtract the 90. So it's kind of weird because we just don't have numbers that big usually. But P equals negative 146. Now just to show you real quick, if you were wanting to check, what you could do is you could plug your P back in for your variables, like on top, negative 146 plus 10 is negative 136. And then on the bottom, plug it in for P, negative 146 minus 7 is negative 153. Now, if you plug it in, negative 136 divided by negative 153, that's 0.8 repeating. Now try plugging in the other side. The right side is 8 over 9, so 8 divided by 9 is 0.8 repeating. So since they were both the same decimal, I know it worked out right, and that's how I can check. All right, let's look at a word problem. So over here in a word problem, Toby enlarged the size of a photo to a height of 18 inches. What is the new width if it was originally 2 inches tall and 1 inch wide? I think it's very helpful to just draw a little sketch. This is 1 inch by 2 inch. All right, and the new one, I'm not obviously doing this to scale, but the new one, the height was 18 inches, and we don't know the width. So we're going to set up our proportion. So if I do 2 over 1, then I'm doing the height over the width of the original, and the height over the width of the new one would be 18 over W. So once you set it up, it's really easy to solve. 2 times W equals 1 times 18. And when you divide by 2, you find out that the width is 9 inches. All right, so over here, Judy used 5 cups of flour to make 8 dozen muffins. All right, so 5 cups per 8 dozen muffins. So how many cups of flour would she need to make 20 dozen muffins? I'm going to put 20 on the top on the bottom, because it shows dozen is on the bottom, cups is on the top. So I'm just going to put C for cups. So notice I have cups over dozen on the left and cups over dozen on the right. Now that you have it set up, you're ready to cross multiply. So you have 8C equals 5 times 20, that's 100. And so we're going to divide by 8. And so she will need 12.5 cups of flour.